It's Daybreak on Arise News, and it's time for the press preview. A first look at what's on the front pages just as they arrive. Let's take a look at this day, our sister publication, leading with that train attack. It says terrorists release photograph of baby delivered in captivity by abducted woman. That's a photo there of the baby, caption, sleeping innocently, oblivious of her situation. Baby girl delivered in kidnapper's den by her abducted mother in Kaduna train attack. More headlines here. IMF, fuel subsidy causing deterioration in fiscal balance in Nigeria. And above the nameplate there, Total joins exodus of oil majors from onshore in Nigeria.
The Punch newspaper, presidency. PDP rep Sands warned Jonathan, group threatens suit. The ex-president can contest, it's risky. Rather, he can't contest, rather, it's risky. He will be ridiculed, and that's according to Falana. 65 core members to repeat service in Ondo State and others. And I deserve right of first refusal. That's according to the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, and he's speaking to the PDP.
All right, let's look at the nation. The nation has its headline as Buhari to court. Electoral Act 84, subsection 12, unconstitutional. Two riders. PDP sued for hearing May 16. APC drops guideline on resignation, awaits court verdict. Verdict is something you need to read up. Interesting story there, continued on page 4. And then, of course, just below there, you see PDP screens 48 aspirants for governors in the Southwest and the Southeast. It says Bola Rumi challenges Makinde. And then, of course, the list of names who will be screened. And then at the topmost, insecurity. Sakuta residents sleep in Niger Republic. Shutdown of 840 megawatt plants to worsen power outage. This is found again on page 4 of the Nation newspapers. And then NEF chair urges parties to throw presidential tickets open. I am best as PDP standard bearer, Atiku tells the NWC. He's actually saying that they should be giving first a refusal, whatever that means. We'll find out.
Let's take a look at The Guardian. Interesting front page here. Electoral Act. I didn't order Senate to remove Section 8412, Buhari tells court. Some riders. Buhari says he only expressed concern. Meanwhile, the AGF Malami says only appeal court can overturn judgment against Section 8412. Bajabiamila advises political appointees to resign. APC insists Amechi Ngige Wajoba are not obliged to resign before Monday. Some more headlines here. The leading photo says it's a big story. Efforts to restart local manufacture of vaccines suffer setback. That's in pages 4 and 5. Malami Shaban declare for KB Kaduna Guber.
The international papers. This is The Times, and this is one for the medics. Stop taking painkillers for arthritis, patients told. But right there is a picture of a Briton who's died in the war in Ukraine.
The Independent. There was a story yesterday of an MP who was said to be watching porn beside the minister. So the story is following up, Independent's following up in that today. It says Tories failing to act on MP who watched porn. It has a rider. Ex-minister says party is kicking investigation into long grass. That's from the Independent. Okay.
And for the press preview, let's bring in Emmanuel Bello, who joins us now from our off-site studio. Emmanuel, good morning. Thanks for joining us. Let's take a look at this day and that leading story. Terrorists releasing a photograph of baby delivered in captivity by abducted woman. And take a look at the caption there. It says, sleeping innocently, oblivious of her situation. This is such a sad story for someone who's supposed to be happy, giving birth, bringing new life. But in this situation, it's just so sad. And taking a look at this with the bill that's being passed in the Senate, criminalizing anyone who pays any sort of ransom to terrorists for people who have been kidnapped, it's just so sad, because for someone who has given birth, you can imagine the agony and the sadness that their family would be feeling. And if they had the chance to pay to get them back, wouldn't they want to do that, Emmanuel?
Yes, Nkechi, and you know, you actually just captured everything that anyone would say about this, and maybe the only thing to just add is this picture itself on the front page of this day, and kudos to this day for actually leading, with this picture. It's almost symbolic of the helplessness and the frustrations and the sadness and the pain, and even the agony attached to all this. And such an innocent face, but behind that innocent face is the story of brutality. It's the aggression of the bandits who took these people away from that train. It's also symbolic of where we have found ourselves, that even newborn babies are already caught up in the maelstrom of a situation that shouldn't have been allowed to get to this point. And you're right, Nkechi, it is pictures like this, of course, used by the bandits to actually push home those requests that, look, you need to pay us money, that they are doing this basically for money and no more, no less. It's pictures like this that make you wonder whether the Senate was thinking right when it says people should not pay money. I mean, if this was your situation, if you were a relative or relations to this child or the families there was no way you wouldn't want to give out everything you have just to have your loved one back. But you can also understand with the Senate that they are trying to deal with terrorism financing, and that they are trying to suck out the oxygen from it, and that if you stop the funding, if you stop the payments, if you stop putting money into it, if you can watch the flow of the money and everything, you will have a death blow on terror. Of course, all over the world, they track such monies, and to see that terrorists, bandits don't have money to be able to execute their plans. Maybe that's what we're thinking. But there are people who are saying, like Umar said in this story, Colonel Umar saying, look, there must be a better way. There must be other way of going around this to ensure that this country is safer. But this morning, we're all waking up, it's raining in Abuja, and looking at this picture, I think it's so sad. You have no joy at all. A long weekend is coming, and the image that we will go into this weekend with is the image of this innocence, this serious show of the helplessness in which not only adults like us find ourselves, but even day-year-old babies. Nkechi, is heart-rending, and there's nothing one can say beyond that. It's really, really, really heartbreaking.
Harrowing tale indeed, Emmanuel. Still on the issue of insecurity, the papers are reporting that a soldier who's been accused of spying for the terror groups allegedly killed himself. Now, the famous singer Davido would say something fishy is going on. How did an apprehended individual who's handcuffed overpower soldiers and take weapons or bombs from them and then blow himself up? Is it incompetence, Emmanuel, or is just the way that the army operates?
Well, that's not the way the army should operate. And if you say incompetence, you'll be hitting it right there on the head, Kenneth. Yes, we're seeing a lot of that. But beyond that, we're also seeing these stories point to the crisis that we've all been talking about, the issues of collusions between, we've been talking about this again and again. And this, the larger picture of this is that, look, there must be better strategies, there must be better ideas, even probably external help to see what we can do to deal with the crisis of terror in this country. Already, people saying that this administration has run out of ideas. There are people who have come out so strongly that there are no longer ideas. President Obasanjo put it so clearly that, look, this government has been overwhelmed. As far as it was almost suggesting that there has been a surrender on the part of the commander-in-chief. That is a very, very serious charge. And of course, as a pushback, you begin to hear stories of the purchases they are making. He summoned security chiefs together recently, rallied them, and gave them those marching orders again that are beginning to sound like broken records. So whether we like it or not, stories like this just point to the helplessness on one hand, and of course the absence of professionalism or even courage on the side of those that are charged with the duties or the responsibility of protecting the rest of us.
Nation, let's talk about the Electoral Act 8412. It says Buhari Malami says it's unconstitutional. So they're in court. The date is fixed for 16. I guess we'll be waiting for what the court will say about this.
Yeah, yes, we'll be waiting, but of course we'll still be capturing the crisis on both sides. On one hand, at people that are unwilling to resign, Malami and those ministers that want to run for office. This section of the act of the law is saying that they should vacate office, and there are the APC is also insisting that on one hand, APC was insisting that they should vacate office. In some states, we already see commissioners resigning en masse to go buy forms so that they can. So these ministers too, and they're actually in compliance with this section, and now we are seeing back and forth, almost like a flop on this issue. On one hand, the president saying something else, saying look, he didn't order for its removal, but he was showing concern. Now, whatever it is, the National Assembly is adamant that the judiciary cannot twist it to change something that they've already set in place. And I can assure you that the momentum is on the side of this section, with a lot of Nigerians saying that, look, if you want to run for office, join the race like every other person. You don't have to have an undue advantage of a position you're holding. If you're a minister, you resign. If you're a commissioner, you resign, and so that you can seek office and be at par with everyone and seek office without any undue advantage. So for so many of these people are not willing to resign because, like, we say a bird at hand is worth two in the bush. Probably they are not so sure of their contest. They are not sure if they will win. So why resign when you are not even sure whether you're going to win or not? But if you are ready to commit 100 million to any contest or whatever amount you are contesting, you probably should also be willing to vacate an office so that you can actually in compliance with a section of the law.
Talking of,
I was actually saying that you seem to have forgotten that there's a court ruling on that.
Sorry, I didn't get that.
You seem to have forgotten that there's a court ruling on that already.
Yeah, well, of course, that's the court ruling. The court is very clear about it that this has come to stay. So yes, it's and if you don't do the right thing, you are not complying. So I mean, if you're not complying, you're not doing the right thing. It's so clear, and the National Assembly is so adamant that look, the courts can't change what the legislators have sat together to agree on. So that is, the pundits are weighing on that. But it's so clear that there's a law on ground. It's amazing that the judiciary will want to, it goes against even the grains of separation of powers in these matters.
2023 is ever so close, Emmanuel. And in the People's Democratic Party, the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar is saying he should have been given a right of first refusal. Why do you think he feels this way?
Well, he's been very clear about it, that he's the way to go. And if the PDP, he's one of those people that continuously say, look, the only path to the presidency for the PDP is through the north. I mean, that is the argument they are making. Tambuwal has made that again and again. And Atiku has also made that statement from day one, that look, it's not just about even zoning, PDP zoning its the presidency to the north, but actually zoning it to himself. And he talk about his pedigree. He talk about the fact that he's had a front row, understanding, sitting there in the room as vice president. He's seen it all, and that he can do it. He talked about his efforts at in the private sector. So he's saying that he's the one, the PDP should zone this ticket or this presidency to him as an individual, and that he should be given the right of first refusal. So, so what he's calling for is just building, doubling down on this sort of calls he's made in the past. That look, he's the right person for this, and that the PDP has no choice but him, and that without him, the PDP might be heading to oblivion or to losing the contest.
I'll see how that plays out eventually. Thank you so much, Emmanuel Bello. That's the press.